Well, good morning. And let me extend my welcome to worship this morning. My name's Adam Hildebrand. I get to be one of the pastors here at LVfirst. It is just such a joy to be with all of you, whether you're here in person or you're joining us online. We're just excited for the opportunity to worship together. Thank you for making it out on this rainy holiday weekend. If Jesus had bonus points to give out, you would get bonus points, okay? So just feel good about that. Jesus gives all of us grace, so there's not really Jesus bonus points. But if there were, you guys would get them. You know, it's been an interesting weekend, a Valentine's Day weekend, and lots of things going on. And so I hope you have felt the love this weekend. Know that we love you. We're glad that you are here. Lots of things happening in the life of our church. You heard about a few of them. A couple other things. If you're new to the LVfirst, if you're new to this church, first of all, welcome. We're glad you're here this morning. If this is your first time, we'd love to get to know you. We'd love to hear a little bit of your story, and we'd love to share a little bit of ours. And one of the ways that we do that is through something we call First Steps. So First Steps is a gathering of new people to LVfirst, where we share a little bit of what's happening in the church, how you can be a part of it, and we feed you. So again, if you want a free meal, this is the place to be. I think we've kind of pointed that out. So First Steps is happening next Sunday evening at 5 o'clock in the cafe in the back. And so if you want to come and find out more about this church and more about what we're doing in the world, show up next week, 5 o'clock. It'll be a great conversation, great time to meet some new folks, and we would love to have you be a part of that. As you can probably hear, I've got a little bit of the dreaded man cold, which is maybe the worst of all colds, right? You know, it means that you should pray for Michelle, not for me, because I'm just pathetic and can't do anything on my own because I have a snotty nose. But yeah, just so you know, so if I pound it instead of shaking your hand today, it's not because I don't like you. It's just because I don't want to get anybody else sick. And there's so many things coming on. Oksana and Sarah mentioned the Super Bowl last week. We collected food last week, and so I want to celebrate something and then challenge you to something. So last week, you guys selected "Don't Care" as the overall champion of the Super Bowl. So congratulations to "Don't Care." In total, though, we collected 1,500 food items, which is fantastic. It's amazing. Now, I put out there that I thought we could get 3,000 food items. So here's the deal. We didn't have church for 2 weeks before last weekend, so we didn't really have kind of the buildup that we would normally have to that. So we're gonna go ahead and push that goal to the end of the month. So if you can, go ahead and bring some more food items this week, next week. We would love to get to that goal of 3,000 food items for the co-op, and I think we can do that. That's no problem, right? Right? Yes. All right, good. And then one more thing, Ash Wednesday kicks off the season of Lent. And so we really are looking forward to beginning this season of 40 days on Wednesday together. And we want you to be a part of that service. It's such a moving, special experience. If you've never been a part of an Ash Wednesday service before, if you're kind of new to this Methodist thing and you're like, what is Ash Wednesday? Just come and check it out. Come and be a part of it. But it begins the season of Lent, these 40 days as we build up to Easter. And we've got a series that we're really excited about that will kick off next Sunday called Jesus Asks. And we're going to be talking about the questions that Jesus asks throughout the Gospel of John. Jesus asks a whole bunch of questions. I think they're so important for us to wrestle with, and I think they'll help us to have a really meaningful season of Lent together. It's rare that anybody's like, I'm so excited about Lent. Lent is supposed to be like a season of repentance and giving things up, but like, I'm so excited about walking through the Gospel of John with all of you. We've got a reading plan that we're going to be launching on Wednesday, and so you can follow along in the Gospel of John with everybody else in the church. We're so looking forward to this season of Lent. Which brings us back to today. We're wrapping up this series that we've called Over It, and it was just kind of this 3-week series where we talked about this idea that so many of us walk through life right now feeling like we're just over it. Like, I'm so over this, and I'm so over that. I'm over these things and this stuff that's going on, and I'm over things outside of my control, and I'm over things that are in my life, and I'm over things that are happening around me. I'm just over it. I'm so over it. There are lots and lots of different ways that we use that phrase. And maybe for some of you, you feel a little bit over it every Sunday evening as you begin to think about the work week starting up. You get a case of the Sunday scaries. Does anybody get the Sunday scaries? This like sense of existential dread where you're like, oh, I just feel so heavy and frustrated already. I'm thinking about the week and I don't really want to deal with it. I'm just kind of over it. I'm over all the things that I'm gonna have to deal with tomorrow. I'm over that meeting that I'm gonna have. I'm over that person that I have to see. I'm just over it. I don't get the Sunday scaries. I get the Saturday night scaries about dinner time. Yeah, because I only work one day a week. So Saturday night about dinner time, my family knows like I'm just no fun anymore. Like right up until dinner time, Saturday Adam is a lot of fun, but at dinner time, no fun anymore. Like just this kind of like sense that like I've got something to do and I'm already thinking about that thing and my brain is already in another place. And some of us get that on Sunday evening as we think about Monday and we think about going back to work and we think about going back to school and we get the Sunday scaries and we're just over it. Unless you've got tomorrow off. Congratulations. You get a bonus day. Yeah. Good on you. Anyway, did somebody just boo President's Day? Oh, okay. Sorry. Maybe it's not on Sunday evening. Maybe it's on Monday morning when you get to work first thing and you open up your calendar and you see something that looks like this. Right? Can anybody relate to this? Anybody feels this in their life where you look at your calendar and you just see all of these appointments and you see all of these people that you got to meet with and all of these phone calls that you got to make and all of the appointments that you got to do and all of the Zoom calls that you got to be on and all of the TPS reports that you got to turn in and like all of the things that you have to do. And this is just your work schedule. And then you begin to think about your family schedule as well. And you got to get this kid to that place and you got to get that kid to this place. And you're trying to coordinate rides with your spouse or significant other. And you're just trying to figure out who's going where, when, and you have no idea how you're going to make it all work. Let me just, as an aside, one of my like dreams in life was for my kids to be involved in soccer. I love soccer so much, and I was so excited about having kids and getting them involved in soccer, and I was so ready to coach them. And at one point, I was coaching both of my boys' soccer teams, and like this parent came up to me this one weekend, and they were like, "Man, isn't this great? Ain't no weekend like a soccer weekend." And I thought, that's because there ain't no weekend when it's a soccer weekend. Like, I've got games on Saturday, I've got games on Sunday, I got to get from here to this field to that field and make sure that all of the people are in the right places. And did you bring the orange slices? And I've got all of these things that I've got to manage. So maybe the best gift I ever got was when my youngest son told us he didn't want to play soccer anymore. And at first I was heartbroken that he said, I just really didn't like all the running and the kicking. And we were like, that's the whole game. Literally, like, that's it. That's all there is. And so then I was down to just coaching one son, and it was kind of a gift. I didn't feel bad about that. This is all of these things that we have to do, and we've got all of these places we have to be, and we've got to make sure that this person's here and they're there. It's a lot. Or maybe it's when you open up your phone and you see all of the unresponded to notifications. Just quick poll here. How many of you are OCD and this is driving you crazy? Like, yeah, you can't deal with that many notifications. You're just like, just turn off the notifications. Just lie to yourself. Just turn them off so they're not there. But we open our phone and we look and we pull up our email and we do it over the weekend and we check and we see how many emails, we've got all these emails that we got to respond to. We got all of this stuff that we've got to do. We got all these people that we got to talk to. We got to respond to this thing and somebody else is trying to get us to deal with their problem. People are asking us to carry their weight. They're trying to control something in our life that we don't really want them to control. And we just feel like we're over it. There's so much going on, and maybe you're over all the expectation that others put on you, and maybe you're over all the expectations that you put on yourself, and maybe you're just over feeling overwhelmed all the time. Which brings us to one of the great existential questions of a generation. I know you can be overwhelmed, and I know you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? People of a certain age will know that movie quote. Anyway, but this is how I know we all feel it. Here's how I know we all feel it. Because when I have a conversation with people and I say, how are you doing? Generally their response is good or busy. Busy. People will say good or busy. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And if you press somebody and when they say, you're good? They're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just busy. Like we all say that we're busy. We're all feel so busy. We all feel so burdened. We all feel so overwhelmed. Young people are busy, and young adults are busy, and middle-aged adults are busy, and older adults are busy. Even my retired friends tell me they're busy. This thing that like all of us are thinking, like I can't wait till I get to that place where I can just decide what I do, and all of a sudden, I've got kid responsibilities and grandkid responsibilities, and I'm asked to do all of these different things, and now all of a sudden this time that I thought I was going to have is taken up by all of these other things. Everybody feels busy. Everybody feels busy. There's this pervasive busyness in our world that's grabbed hold of us and leaves us wondering if things will ever let up. And many of us, like myself, we like to lie to ourselves, right? I'll say, well, it's just a busy season, right? If I can just get to this day, for me, like from now until Easter, if I can just get to Easter, everything will lighten up. And then after Easter, I'll say, well, it's busy. If I can just get to camp meeting, everything will lighten up. If I can just get to this time, it'll lighten up. And if your season isn't a season, it's just your life. Right? It's just your life at some point. And some of us just feel over it. Or we would be if we took the time to slow down long enough to actually assess what's going on, to think about the pace that we're running at, to think about all of the things that are happening in our lives. It's such a pervasive part of our culture that busy has really become a badge of honor, where we feel like we have to say that we're busy. Otherwise, we feel like we're not living up to the standard. We're not doing what needs to be done. We wonder if we're not spectacular, special, or lovable if we're not busy. And busyness becomes performative. We're doing it for everybody else so that everybody sees how busy and important we are. And we worry that if we're not busy, we're falling behind, we're letting people down, we're lazy or uncommitted, and think that if we're busy, then we're important, we're needed, we've got stuff to do. And studies tell us that people feel busier now than they ever have. Partly, I think it's because these amazing time-saving technologies that we have actually sucked up a whole bunch of our time. They've created this margin in our life that we've managed to fill with all sorts of other things. We might be able to calendar really easily, but our calendar fills up really easily as well. The thing that we thought would save us so much time has actually taken time from us. In 2025, the average American looked at their phone for 5 hours and 16 minutes per day, which is 14% higher than compared to 2024. And some of you are thinking, 5 hours, that's it? And some of you are thinking, 5 hours, oh my gosh. That's the average, 5 hours, 16 minutes. The average smartphone user will open, click, tap, or swipe their phone 2,617 times a day. And even when trying to reduce phone-related distractions by silencing phones and turning off notifications, Penn State actually found in a study that silencing those things actually increases the frequency of phone checking. So even if you're trying to not check your phone as much, you end up checking your phone as much. On average, the average 30-year-old will spend 5 years and 4 months of their life on social media. 5 years of their life looking at someone else's life instead of living their own life. I saw this interview the other day with a celebrity who was talking about how they had gotten off of social media completely, which is strange for celebrities because that's part of their image, and they got to keep their likeness out there so that people know who they are. And the interviewer asked, why would you delete all of your social media? Not like just take it off your phone, delete your accounts. And the guy said, well, I saw this picture of this person who had climbed to the top of Mount Everest. And I saw these pictures of him up there, and I thought, I didn't earn that. I didn't go through the struggle to actually experience that. And if I ever do climb Mount Everest, I want to see it for the first time. I want to experience it for the first time. I don't want to experience it through somebody else's eyes. I just thought that was so incredibly fascinating to think about. Because for most of us, we are ever elsewhere. Our minds are always somewhere else. We're always looking at something else. We're always thinking about something else. The busyness of our brains doesn't stop. And this busyness has an effect on every single area of our lives. There's a professor out of Regent University School of Business, Dr. Michael Zigarelli, who did this study over 5 years where he collected data from over 20,000 Christians ranging in age from 15 to 88 across multiple countries, but predominantly in the United States. And in this study, he found this. I just want to quote him here. He says, busyness and hurry are the greatest obstacles to spiritual growth and the biggest distractions from God and others. Busyness and hurry are the greatest obstacles to spiritual growth, the biggest distractions from God and others. He went on to say this, that the accelerated pace and activity level of the modern day distracts us from God and separates us from the abundant, joyful, victorious life He desires for us. Ultimately, it separates us from seeing God and seeing the needs of others. We wonder why we feel disconnected from God. Well, Zigarelli went on to propose this idea called the vicious cycle of busyness. He put it this way. He said that Christians are assimilating to a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload, which leads to God becoming more marginalized in their lives, which leads to a deteriorating relationship with God and others, which leads to becoming even more vulnerable to adopting secular assumptions about how to live, which leads to more conformity to a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload. And then the cycle begins again. And then the cycle begins again. We assimilate into a culture of busyness. God becomes more marginalized. Our relationship with God deteriorates and our relationship with others deteriorate, which leads us to take on more busyness. And then the cycle begins again, which makes sense with the study that Barna Research Group just released, where they interviewed Christians and they said, how important is how many of you would say that your faith life is important in your life? And only 53% of them said that it was somewhat to very important in their life. Christians. Because we're being discipled into a culture of busyness. We think that busyness is the reward. We think that busyness is the thing that will fill our lives. Zigarelli, you're going to love this. Zigarelli did this study in 2007. Anybody else know what happened in 2007? It was the release of the iPhone. The release of the iPhone. And our life has just accelerated since. Busyness is one of the biggest problems in our spiritual lives. Corrie ten Boom said it this way: if the devil can't make you sin, he'll just make you busy. So many of us feel that way. So now that I've painted an incredibly rosy picture of our busy reality, let's try to untangle this a little bit. I want you to join me in being over it. I want you to join me in trying to figure out a better way to live. Let's stop trying to optimize the wrong standard of living. Because Jesus shows up into the real world, into our real lives, in the same way that he showed up to real people in real places. He shows up to all of us, and they were dealing with similar things. I'm sure that new innovations caused people to have all sorts of busyness in their lives as well. Perceived busyness hasn't changed very much. The Roman road was a big deal in Jesus' day. Jesus, in Matthew chapter 11, invites us to do something very specific. He says this in verse 28. Jesus says, "Come to me, all you," which means all you. That was good Greek, right? Like, all of you. "Come to me, all of you that are weary and carrying heavy burdens." Jesus assumes that all of us fit into those categories. All of us are tired. All of us are overwhelmed. All of us are busy. All of us have things going on. All of us are carrying something that is beyond what we feel like we can carry. Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you who just feel like you're over it. Come to me," Jesus says, "and I will give you a better to-do list app." "Come to me, all who are weary and tired and overwhelmed, and I will give you a better morning routine." Come to me, Jesus says, "and I will give you rest." I will give you rest. Which for some of us in the room, like the idea of rest sounds great, but we can't even picture what that might look like. We can't even feel it in this moment. If I asked everybody to take a deep breath, you'd probably just take a little, right? Because we don't know how to breathe deep anymore. We don't know how to experience real rest. Because our lives are constantly so busy. We're constantly in so many places. And Jesus, into our world and into the world that he was speaking, in the same thing, says, "Come to me and I'll give you rest." Jesus looks at a weary world and doesn't give us another solution, another tool, another morning routine, another self-help book, another hack, another app. He gives us himself. Jesus is speaking to people who, just like us, are feeling beyond physical exhaustion, beyond just a better recovery routine, beyond, a sauna and a red light treatment and a nap. Now, Jesus is not opposed to napping. Okay, we see Jesus taking a nap a couple of different times in the scripture, once very famously on a boat in the middle of a storm. So Jesus is for naps, especially Sunday afternoon naps, because those are the best naps. But if you were just tired, you could take a nap and you would feel better. But most of us, if we take a nap, we don't feel better. We still feel over it because our souls are weary. Our souls are weary from the weight of expectations, the pressure to perform, and the feeling that we're always behind and we're never, ever finished. And into that world, Jesus says, "Come to me, and I'll give you rest." This invitation is important because rest is not found in escape. Rest is found in a relationship with Jesus. We can't numb out with more screen time. We can't keep hitting next episode on Netflix and think that that's going to solve our problem. I love that one of the executives from Netflix, when asked what their biggest competitor is, they said sleep. Think about that the next time you hit the button. Jesus offers his presence to his people who are willing to come close to him. And in him, we find a sense of fullness and rest. And we don't have to prove anything to him by showing him our day planner. He just invites us to come close and experience rest. See, most of us, when we think about the way the world works, like we work for rest. Like we work really hard, we try to optimize our calendar, we try to make it work for us so that we can have rest. You know, we work really hard, we save money so that we can retire and then we can just rest. We work really hard during the week and then everybody's working for the weekend, right? Everybody needs a new, yeah. Just trying to get all the generations in today, okay? We're just working for the weekend. We work for rest. But the goal is not to flop over into a weekend where you're too tired to do anything and enjoy what God has made in the world. I like the way author and pastor Carey Nieuwhof says, he says, time off won't heal you when the problem is how you spend your time on. But the way that we were designed, the way that we work best is when we work from rest. Not for rest, but from rest. When we live from rest. From this rest that Jesus gives us and invites us to experience, from a place of Sabbath where we have space and time to really enjoy God, his creation, and the people that he made, to slow down, to encounter more of that. And Jesus gives us a way to think about this. Because all of us are like, yeah, that sounds great and all, except you don't know what I've got to do. You don't know all the things on my list. You don't know all the things on my calendar. I don't know that I can move anything around. I don't know that I can make that work. I don't know what that looks like. Jesus goes on, he says, this is what that's going to look like. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Which we're all like, yeah, I see you, Jesus. You said, come and get rest, and now you're giving me something to do. You're giving me more tasks, more stuff that I've got to do. Jesus doesn't tell us to carry more. Jesus tells us this: take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Learn from my way. Learn from the way that I live my life, what I teach you. Learn from me. Jesus, who had this regular rhythm of getting away, who had this regular rhythm in pulling away from people and spending some time resting and praying and reflecting on the world around him. Jesus, who took this intentional time, even though he only had 3 years on earth, and his 3 years changed the trajectory of the world and our lives. And he took regular time to rest. Jesus says, learn from me and the way that I did this. For I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for that deep soul tiredness that we feel. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus was a first century rabbi, and a first century rabbi, when they talked about a yoke, were talking about their teaching. They weren't talking about like this weight that we had to carry. He's talking about a way of life. But he's using an image of a yoke, which, again, isn't really about weight. It's about how weight is distributed. I've got a picture of what a yoke might have looked like for an oxen. So you get 2 oxen and you put them in the yoke, and then they can pull a whole lot more. It's about how weight is distributed. It allowed 2 animals to move together. And in the same way, Jesus is inviting two to move together. It allowed two to move together at the same pace under guidance and shared weight. Jesus says, come to me and find rest. Come to me and begin to live in my way, and I'll help you carry the weight that you carry in a better way. Jesus doesn't lay out a 10-step plan and say, I'm demanding and intense. He says, I'm gentle and humble, and I'm willing to help you carry it, but you've got to come to me and stop trying to do it on your own. And coming close to Jesus doesn't always feel easy and light because life is still hard. There's still lots of stuff going on. Responsibilities still remain. Pain doesn't just magically disappear. The burden isn't light because life becomes magically easy. The burden is light because you're no longer carrying it alone. So many of us are carrying too much on our own. So if you're feeling over it, let's start today by naming our weariness, naming our busyness, naming all of those things and telling Jesus where in our life we're over it and where we might invite him to be over it. Let go of what isn't yours to carry and learn to go at Jesus's pace. Because Jesus says our work is just to come to him, to stay grounded in him, to stay focused on him and who he is. Because a full calendar doesn't equal a full life. Jesus says, I will give you life to the fullest. Jesus invites us to choose his presence over our own performance. And invites us to allow him to be over it. So maybe today you just need to start with naming some of the things that you are over it with. And allowing Jesus to help you carry the weight of everything else.